Hey y'all, this is AL Thick Madame, and this is the recap review for the last days of Ptolemy Great. So the episode started out with Ptolemy having a flashback to back in the day when he was, I guess, 7 years old, and he was like going fishing or had gone fishing or was going somewhere with Coy Dog. But on their way, Coy Dog was like, I gotta go see a woman because I gotta pay her rent. I gotta pay this woman's rent. Because he was like, well, why we gotta stop there first? Child, when they arrived at the house, I was like, uh-huh. Because it was like a whole, like, function going on. I was like, my spidey senses started tingling and they was spot on because when they went inside, because Ptolemy was a child and he's one of those children who says whatever he has heard. The woman wanted to know who came to the door, who saw him and realized who Coy Dog was. She greeted him, was like, hey, how you doing, whatever. And it's obvious that she is the owner of the establishment, if you will. And wanted to know what he was doing there, hadn't seen him in a while. And so he was like, I'm here to see such and such. And Ptolemy off rip was like, he's here to see whatever the woman's name was to pay her rent. And so the woman was like, oh. And was like, hey. And then called over to the woman, was like, he's here to pay your rent. And so she politely walked down the stairs. As soon as I saw the stairs, like I knew for sure for certain. And so I was like, oh. So if you haven't caught on by now, this is a juke joint slash whorehouse slash like it's a lot going on. It is a lot. It's a lot going on right here. In the moment, like it seems to be mainly a juke joint where people are gambling and eating and drinking and having fun. And so since he was gonna go upstairs and do what he was gonna do and pay this woman's rent, the woman who is obviously like the owner of the spot, it seems like an Anime's Cafe almost type situation. Well, Anime's Cafe, if you're not familiar with that, it's a situation that Little Milton has come up with that explains places that are kind of like this, where it has some of the greatest food, great music, all this stuff going on. It's like a situation kind of like that. I'm gathering. Like if I had to ever figure out, oh, I'm going to go where there's going to be some good music, good food, and all this other stuff, it might be somewhat of an older version of what Annie Mae's Cafe is. So anyway, he done went upstairs to go do his due and do his business. And the woman took it upon herself to take Ptolemy to go and take a bath. Asked him if he wanted to take a bath. He was like, yeah, he was all excited. Well, the woman then told this other woman that's up in there, who obviously is like, she works there. She works there. Asked her to fetch her a couple of pails of hot water. And so she was like, well, ain't nobody taking no bath until a certain time. And so she was like, well, this person is. And, was being really, really nice to Ptolemy. But the tub was downstairs. Like, all you had to do was look and you saw all of what was going on. And I was just like, okay. And he even asked why was it that he had to take a bath down there. And he was like, well, this woman moved in and then there was no more room. And so they ended up moving it down there and it made it more convenient for them to have access to the hot water. So it was a win-win situation for them. Well, not long after she'd have set the tub up for him, he in the tub getting washed down by the woman, a fight breaks out at a card table. Somebody feel like they done got gypped out of their money. He done flipped the table over. They get to fighting. The woman that turned around and said, now y'all know y'all ain't supposed to be fighting in here. Like, had to tell people to break it up. That was the first time he saw violence. Wait a minute. This is what the problem was. So the men, these were men fighting. This woman, apparently her man was one of the men who was at the card table. And she was like, what you're not finna do is roll up on my man. Stabbed this man in the back. When the man turned around, she stabbed him in the front and killed him. If she didn't kill him, that man was maimed for life. And I was just like, this is just what we doing over a man? Like, women have been crazy over men for forever, apparently. I'm just like, y'all, I'm not finna go to jail. Like, it did during that time. This was 100 years ago, y'all. Literally 90 something to 100 years. This was 91 years ago. Well, 100. Well, 90. Let me just say 90. This was 90 years ago. 89 to 90 years ago that this happened. And this is currently 2021 when this was, happening. So I'm like, y'all doing the most over a card game. I can't. I was just like, what is going on? So anyway, Court Dog did what he did. And so this was like the first time that Ptolemy has seen a violent situation pop off. And I'm just like, child, didn't nobody need to see that? This is too much. That card game went all the way to the left. So now we're back in present day. And Ptolemy ended up waking up and he ended up going to get a glass of water where he watered down an alcoholic beverage because he's trying to get some whiskey and water or whatever. Is trying to help himself go back to sleep. So Robin came in late, and it's like 4:30 in the morning or something like that, and he up, and it's crazy because it's like at the same time he had a flashback to one time when he was waiting up for his wife Cynthia, and I was just like, woo, child, this is I was like, woo, this was too much going on right here. So yeah, he when he was waiting up for Cynthia back in the day, this was during that time when she was out here thotting and bopping and he was just accepting of it, and he had a gun. The gun, I think it was the same gun that she shot a bullet into the floor with. And he was like, I mean, you out here doing what you doing. I might as well kill myself because, for what? Like he really stayed in that toxic situation. And I mean, even though he lived for her, because I guess she was fine to him or whatever, and that was the only thing he ever had in this world. That was really the only thing he had, and he loved her, and it just was what it was. And I was just like, he really was about to kill himself. And so she was like, no, you can't do that because you might as well let me do it, and you just let me kill you, and then I'll kill myself because I wouldn't be able to live without you. And he fell for that foolishness, and they hugged, and I was just like, people who are desperate for love in this way, I cannot. Like, I love and all of that. I have been a fool for love, but I don't think I would have ever been this crazy, head over heels over somebody when they out here wanting to live their life, do what they want to do, be with everybody, and I got to share you. I shouldn't have to say, okay, you fine, I'm your main person, let me just deal with this because you fine or whatever the situation. I don't understand what his mindset was. It ain't never made. The math wasn't mathing for me. I ain't got time for it. And I was just like, no. But yeah, like I was saying before, this led him to present day because he had a flashback again. So this ended up leading him back to present day when he was literally up. Like I said before, back in the day, he had full on whiskey that he was drinking. Now, I guess because he's older and he don't want to be towed all the way down to the ground, or he might not have that strong of a tolerance, he mixed the water and the whiskey together, and he couldn't sleep because he had just had that, dream flashback, if you will, of Coy Dog and all that stuff. And Robin was coming in. It was 4:30 in the morning, and she had basically been up just having, casual conversations and things with Roger. And, she was like, well, I shouldn't have stayed as long as I did. And, she started feeling bad because he had basically had a nightmare, I guess you could say. And so he was like, no, you need to live your life. Ain't nothing wrong with that. I done lived my life. I got one foot in the grave, and you need to live your life. Like, she really, lives for him. And they actually had a heart-to-heart. It was so beautiful. I'm telling you, they be trying to make me cry every episode. They had a heart-to-heart, and she told him that, she loves him. And after everything that she's been through, it was just crazy that she felt that way. And she was like, if I was 20 years older and you were 50 years younger, I feel like we would have been able to be together and be good for one another. And I mean, I was just like, wow. I actually didn't think that they would go there with this because when everybody sees her, especially when it comes to the money aspect, they always think she there because he might be getting a piece or she's using him for money, and that's not even the case. She don't even want the responsibility of that at all. Well, while Robin was asleep, Ptolemy ended up calling Nina, who is Reggie's wife, and I think that was the name of this episode, Nina. And he called her, and that raggedy ex answered the phone, who is running her, and he asked to speak to her, and he basically hung up in his face. So when Nina realized that it was him, she called right back. Of course, Ptolemy being 91 years old, he has not had access to the internet and all that stuff. He over here trying to figure out how she got the number. And, because I don't think she just had the number in the phone. And so she was like, well, your number popped up on my phone because that's just the way things go. And so he was just like, oh, okay. I just wanted to see if we could meet up before the situation happens because he wanted his niece to get everybody to come back over to the house or as many people as she could so that he could say what he wanted to say when everything first happened. But his mind was not there, and he's in a state where he can remember exactly what he would have wanted to say during the repast and all that stuff now. And so at first she was like, I don't think I'll be able to do it. And he was like, look, I got some money for you. And I just wanted to be able to give you some money to get you through a couple of months or whatever. And so she paused and she pretty much was like, I mean, I guess I'll come. And then she just hung up. And I'm just like, that's rude. Like, girl. Well, before he ended up going over to the house to meet up with everybody, because he was going to meet up with her like an hour before, because it's understandable that she might not want to be there again because it was already hard enough to go the first time because that's the last like real place that they had his body, and so it was like too much going on, and who would want to go back to that scene? It was really hard for her to see her husband like that, so I get it. So before he went, him and Robin ended up going to this lawyer's office, and we learned that this was actually where he went a long time ago. He had gotten in trouble where somebody tried to, come for him and try to lock him up for something that he really didn't do like that. And kind of find out the man who was representing him died because, like I said, told me 91 years old. Now the son runs the company because the daddy died like 15 years ago. And so he was like, oh, yeah, you're a sight for sore eyes. It's good to see you. He tried to come up in there. The receptionist was like, you don't have an appointment. Who are you? He started acting real crazy and just called out for the daddy. And the son came out trying to figure out what all the ruckus was all about. And then saw it was him. And so he ended up taking him to the back, trying to figure out what he wanted. And he was like, look, I need you to do me a favor. I need you to, handle some stuff for me. Your daddy knew exactly what I wanted. He already had some stuff set up. There was a key that he had, and there was a key that his daddy had, and it was still in existence. And he had to go with him to, they both had to be present in order to unlock the box. And so he was like, look, I got some stuff I got to handle, and I want her to be the executor of my estate. I got some stuff I need done. So when my time comes, I know she will handle it. I can't even trust my family to do that because they are terrible with money, but I know she'll be able to do it. All the while, Robin is protesting because she is not trying to be over that. And all she knows about at this moment is like the less than $75,000 he has. I think he had like 50 something or close to $50,000 in that suitcase. That's all that she knows about at this time, right? So they ended up going to the place that had a safe deposit box. So when they used both of their keys and they were able to prove that they are who they are, went up in there, and while they were about to open the box, he was like, this is the treasure right here, talking to Robin. And so she was looking like, okay. Went into the box. One coin is in there, in that safe deposit box. This man had already paid the insurance. This man had paid taxes and everything on this. So it was actually his. Everything had been paid off. He had been doing what he was supposed to do. So Ptolemy was 100% owner of this. And wasn't there nobody else could say about it. Tell me why this coin, as of right now, was worth $17 million. I was like, how, Lord? What is going on? Please give me one of them million. I promise you, I won't bother you. I promise you. Look, I'm just saying. And then that's what made me sick. Like, I'm sorry, y'all. This is something that always disturbed me. These people that win the lottery and they win like large sums of money, like ridiculous amounts, and they don't have nothing to show for it after the fact. I'm like, how? How? And I'm talking about it'd be enough for them to get a house built from the ground up or to buy one that has a great framework to start off with and all of that. Could have flipped a couple of houses. Definitely bought some cars that are reliable, that have great motors and transmissions and things that will last them for quite some time. Paid off. Bills paid off in advance. Like, I don't be understanding. I don't know. I feel like some people, if you didn't grow up like I did, and you just knew that, like, if a situation like that were to happen for you, what you would do, and it would be something responsible, then you just are going to squander it. Let me just put it like that. You're just going to squander the money. And I think that's stupid. But anyway, I was like, wait. And of course, he still wants Robin to be over it. She is just not here for it. So after all was said and done, Nina is going to have to decide whether or not she's going to do it. But as of right now, no matter what she say, he going to put in the paperwork, she the one who is going to have courtship or whatever over his estate, finances and all of that. But in the event that she decides that she can't do it or don't want to do it, then the son who is over that company is going to have to be the one who's going to delve it out. Like, it is what it is. But he feels like she's going to make the right decision at some point. So that's fine. So Ptolemy ended up meeting up with Nina. The heifer didn't know what, she was really in store for. And so he gave her $5,000. And so he was like, this should tide you over for the next couple of months. I just wanted to make sure y'all were going to be okay. My nephew always been good to me. And so she was like, I'm sorry I never met you, but, he never wanted me to really meet you because he said that you were bad off, but you seem, okay right now. And so he was like, I understand that. And he didn't take offense. And I'm glad that he didn't, because I know some people, they probably wouldn't think about it as a whole. And I'm like, all right, now, good and well, she wasn't going to be able to understand what was going on. So they talked, and it was hard for her to go back in that room because, y'all, okay, first of all, let me go back. I got to backtrack for a second. I did not like how Nisi, who is Hilliard's mama, let me calm down. This is a TV show, okay? Let me calm down. I don't like how this heifer tried Robin. Robin was going to be there when he went over to the house. So, she spoke to everybody and halfway spoke to Robin. And I'm just like, how you gonna have an attitude? This is the thing that I don't like about some of these people. I don't like this about people, especially the women who grew up thinking, okay, if I'm gonna have a baby, or when they do end up pregnant, they pray, hope, and wish that it's gonna be a boy. And then in most cases, when it is a boy, it's a heifer like her who had it. And so they live for the boy, even though he trash day in and day out. You raised him to be trash. He is trash. You live for him being trash. You condone his foolishness. Like, I'm telling you, that is something that has always sickened me to my stomach, and I can't stand. I had to bring that up. Sorry, my bad. So anyway, I just cannot with that. Like, she halfway spoke to her and had an attitude, and I'm just like, your son was about to rape her. So how are you going to sit up here and always and forever have an attitude with her because your son is trash? Kick him out the house. Because when somebody come by and shoot the house up, then what? Because I just can't. And then, this just makes me feel like it wouldn't surprise me if the house she lived in was like her grandmama house or her mama house or something like that. You one of these people who everybody gave you what you got, or somebody died and that's why you got the house, and you just be really trying to make it seem like you. Okay, let me calm down. People like her get on my nerves in real life. Like, that's why when certain shows happen and I see certain movies, literally have seen people who are like this, and it irks my soul. Seeing these people in real life, and I just cannot. Okay, my bad. So anyway, it was hard for Nina. I'm sorry. It was hard for Nina to have this conversation. So eventually he wanted to know, like, who was this dude that she was dealing with, because he heard some things, and like y'all, when I tell y'all, Ptolemy was on it. Ptolemy was on it. And so she was like, well, I heard, that, somebody who had a scar over their eye killed him and all this other stuff. And so you could tell by her body language, even though she's trying to act like she don't know who it is, it's that dude, Alfred or whatever his name is, that's at the house right now. And so I'm just like, girl, he driving the nephew truck because he ain't got no truck. And she'd have sat up here and allowed him to drop her off in her husband's truck. Girl, if you don't, I just can't. I don't be understanding. But anyway, let me just. So anyway, everybody then gathered at the house, and including Satan, who is the doctor. And so, he wanted to say what he wanted to say, which was, I want to tell y'all certain things when everything first happened, but I couldn't. I mean, even Miss Rang showed up. Everybody was there who needed to be there. And he was just like, look, my nephew was everything. He took care of me when nobody else would. And even when I was stinking, my house was tore up and a mess and had animals and everything everywhere. He was there. He always took care of me. He always was there for me. And he told me some things before he, passed away. And I was just like, child. Ugh. And you could tell that once he was getting towards the end, his memory started to go. I said, oh no, I cannot. I'm so tired. So anyway, after everything was said and done, everybody looking for Nina. And we looking like, where this heifer at? The children running around. Okay, where this heifer at? So Ptolemy was like, don't worry about it. I'll go find her. So he went around the corner and saw her, because the food and stuff out back. She up on the front and just there trying to process life. And he trying to figure out what's going on. And then he proceeded to ask her, all right, so where the truck at? Like I said earlier, where the truck at? Because he was fishing around for answers. And he did it in a slick way. And I was like, you better do that, told me. He was like, well, did somebody drop you off? A family friend? Maybe Alfred and all this other stuff. So this fool finally rolled up. Man, when he rolled up, I was just rolling my eyes. I was just like, he just walking up there like he's entitled. Like, I wanted to slap him down the steps as he was walking up the steps. Kick him down the steps. Because he walked up. And so Ptolemy was like, okay. And then he politely pulled his hat up and to verify, okay, he got this scar above his eye. And he was like, yeah, I heard about you. Somebody identified you. And what I need for you to do is meet me so I can give you some money. How much money it's going to take for you to stay away from this family? So he was like, I love my woman. I want to be with my woman. What you talking about? Child, he was like, I'll give you 10 times. He was like, I just gave her $5,000. I'll give you 10 times that. Meet me tomorrow around this time or whatever. Child, I'm pretty sure he going to roll up. And I'm just like, I'm so sick and tired of him. I am so sick and tired. But anyway, I think I did good today, y'all. Did I do good? Because usually I be doing the most. All right, y'all. Hopefully y'all enjoyed this recap review of The Last Days of Ptolemy Gray. This show is so good. It's getting to the end and I'm going to be sad, I'm sure. But anyway, thank y'all so much for tuning in. Subscribe to my channel. If you have not done so, give this video a thumbs up and let's get down in the comment section and talk about it.